All right, Brother Raymond Cooper here with Brother Alex Larson once again. Alex, thank you for being here today. Today, we are going to be talking about our big Samoa mission trip that we did last year in September, and we're basically going to be talking about it today. We're gonna be going through Alex's really great video that he made last year. He made a really nice video about our mission trip, and so we're gonna be watching it. We're gonna be commenting on it and just elaborating on some of the details and talking about our experience there. We're gonna talk about the pros. We're gonna talk about the cons. And hopefully, we can encourage more people to go to this wonderful country in the future, because it really is a very special place. We loved it, and so I really hope that more missions will take place there. Alex, you got some background information for us. Why don't you get into that for us?
Yeah, so the Samoa mission trip was great. We went there in September of last year. I believe we actually arrived in Samoa on September 5th, if I'm not mistaken, of 2024. And just to talk about the country, because I'm sure a lot of people haven't heard of Samoa. It's kind of a smaller country. It's in the middle of the South Pacific in Polynesia. It's probably a little bit more well known than some of the other countries in that region because there are a lot of Samoans in the U.S. But still, I think it's relatively small. It's only about 200,000 people, I believe, is the total population. So basically, Samoa is where we went to the country of Samoa because there's also American Samoa, which is a U.S. territory. It's very close nearby. It's in the same general area, same general region. But American Samoa belongs to the U.S. versus Western Samoa, also known as the independent state of Samoa, which is a separate country. It's about 200,000 people. That's where we went. So it's a totally different country. It's made up of two major islands. There's one island. I don't remember what each of them are called. I think one's called like Upolu or something. Do you know, Raymond, what each of them are called?
One starts with a T and one starts with a U, but that's all I remember.
Okay.
It's been a year, so.
I think the main island's called Upolu or something like that, but that's where the capital is, Apia, and that's where we stayed. So basically, the capital city, the majority of the population of Samoa, we stayed there. We went soul-winning there on a mission trip, and kind of the thought process behind why we wanted to do it is, number one, we had success with other South Pacific countries before this, and we'll talk about that in later videos. But then also just doing research on the demographics of the country, because demographics actually, I believe, play a big part why certain places are receptive and others aren't, right? Because basically Samoa has a very Christian background. And when I say very Christian, I mean more so than the United States and other places. It's actually 98% of the population is Christian. Obviously, not all of them are saved. Very few of them are saved. We'll talk about that as we go on, about like what the different, religious backgrounds are there. But basically, it's a country where, they take the Bible very seriously. They love God. Most people claim to believe in Jesus in some fashion. Very few people there, belong to other religions or just like non-believers and things like that. Almost nobody practices, their, whatever traditional pagan religion or anything anymore. It's pretty much all Christian. And even, I think that Samoa is the only country in the world where their national anthem talks about Jesus. And it actually mentions Jesus dying on the cross. It's the only country in the world that has that. Even their constitution talks about how they're a nation founded on the Bible and founded on belief in the Father, the Son, the Holy Ghost. I think it says something like that. So it's a very Christian background is the point. And I think that's a big reason why it ended up being very receptive, is because a lot of people, they have respect for the Bible. They want to know what the Bible says. There's a lot of people that are lost, that are confused because they belong to, Roman Catholicism or Mormonism. They have, I think it's like 15% Mormon or something like that. There's also, I think the largest demographic or portion of that of denomination is the LMS. I think it's, London Missionary Society?
Yep.
But now it's called like the Congregationalist Church of Samoa or something like that. It used to be, some London missionary thing where they went over there and they, established a bunch of churches in Samoa like 200 years ago about. But now now it's like an independent denomination, but it's basically just like a Congregationalist Presbyterian type of thing. So like a Calvinist kind of thing. But a lot of people just aren't saved, but obviously that's why we're going there, right? To get them saved. And a lot of people love Jesus, and a lot of people want to hear the truth. And so that's why it ended up being, a very good mission trip. And so, just some facts that, like I said, about Samoa out of the way, that it's very Christian, about 200,000 people, 2 islands, middle of Polynesia. And yeah, so it's a very beautiful country as well. And we'll talk about, all the particular details as we go on and go through this video.
Absolutely. And so I got the video right here. So let's go ahead and get started here with this Samoa mission trip 2024. Such a wonderful country. Amen. And if anybody watching this video wants to go check out Alex's video, then I'll put the link for that in this video, so in the description. Now, as someone who has, been to several countries and been driving in a lot of countries, I can say that driving in Samoa is pretty nice. So the roads are really nice. The rental car was super smooth, and this was our first drive from the airport to get to our Airbnb where we were staying at. So this is right when we landed. We left, and then they drive on the left side of the road, on the British side of the road. Which for me, I personally like that even better. So I've been to a few countries that are like that, and I don't know why. I kind of like that side of the road a little bit better. But overall, though, the roads are super nice. They're well paved and everything. And one cool thing that we noticed was on our drive through Samoa, because we had about a 45-minute drive. On our drive, we noticed lots of different countries being represented with flags all over the place. Flags and decorations for, Greece, and for, Guyana, and for, Liberia, and all these different places. And as we were driving by, and we were wondering, why do they have so many other countries represented? And apparently, back whenever they first got independence a long time ago, they started this program where every neighborhood represents a country. And they were basically doing that to celebrate them getting their independence and becoming a country themselves. And they've just kept it going for the past 60 something years. And so every neighborhood represents a different country. I believe our neighborhood where our Airbnb was at was from Malawi, is what I think. And
that's right.
Yeah. And so I thought that was pretty cool to be just representing all these different countries and whatnot. I really liked it a lot. So anyway, let's keep.
Yeah. If I might add, This is obviously the first impressions as well. And we'll see that more. I think like the first few minutes are just like driving down the road. But just other like first impressions of the country that we had, besides, all the flags that are, which was pretty cool, is just how peaceful it seemed. That this was about, I think, 5 p.m. or something like that. So it was kind of late in the day. It was already, as you can see, like the sun was setting. It was kind of getting a little bit dark. But there was just like so many people just outside. There's just like kids just playing outside. They're just like, they just feel safe. Like there's not really much crime going on. Everybody just seems so happy. There's not really any danger or anything. People just look like they're having, fun, and they're just hanging out. They're just chilling outside. Everybody's out there. People aren't just like in America where everybody, you walk through a neighborhood, in the evening like this, and it's just like dead quiet because everybody's just inside watching TV or whatever. Like everybody's outside doing stuff, and I thought that was pretty cool.
I agree. And probably, now that you mention it, I hadn't thought too much on this, but probably Samoa felt the safest out of pretty much any country that I've ever been to before. It was an incredibly safe country for being such a poor country. Too. Like you said, they're very poor there, but it's very safe. It's very clean. It's very nice. It's very built up. It has a lot of good things, good qualities about it. And so, yeah, I really like it a lot. All right, let's continue this video. All right, so really quickly, I just want to point out that Samoa had some of the biggest church buildings I've ever seen before in my life. They were huge. They were, I don't know, megalithic or whatever. I mean, they were just massive church buildings, and they were everywhere. And so it was really interesting to see that. Very cool. Very interesting. All right, so this is at our first restaurant that we went to. It was for breakfast, and we came up here. This was like a cafe that's up on the top level over here, and we sat outside on the balcony. It was a really nice morning. The food was good, uh, but we sat under a big like puddle of stagnant water that was like underneath the deck or something, and we just got eat up by mosquitoes, and so it was really annoying. We ended up not going back to this restaurant, but it was good anyway while we were there. It was a good way to start the trip, and we found much better places to eat later on in the trip. But yeah, this was a good morning though. All right, Alex.
Yeah, so the first day I didn't really record that much, so this kind of time skips to like the end of the day when we were just walking around. This was some park like in the middle of the city. It has some long name that I can't pronounce, but basically for the first day it was really good day. We went to the universities. Samoa has two universities. They have the University of the South Pacific, which is basically a multi-campus university that's all over the South Pacific. So they have campuses in like Fiji and Vanuatu and a few other places. And so they have a campus in Samoa. And so that's where we went after we had breakfast, at the one spot we just saw. We drove over there and we started going Soulwinning, and there wasn't that many people there. It was probably maybe like 10, 15, 20 people total on the campus at the time. I think it was because they were on break, like they had like a fall break or something like that. So there weren't that many people there. But we still found people to talk to, and immediately, our first, glimpse of what it was like Soulwinning in Samoa, we had, really good results. We got a few people saved. I think we got like 5 or 6 people saved the first hour or so that we were there at that university campus. And then after that, we went to the main university in Samoa, which is the National University of Samoa. And that is much bigger. I think it's about 4,000 students or so. So we had plenty of people to talk to. And, by the end of the trip, we were running into the same people again, but there were still a lot of people there. And we had a lot of good experiences there as well. And we spent most of the trip at the National University. And the reason why was because we did scout out a few other places, but we found that was probably the best spot to go Soulwinning for a few different reasons. Number one, because I think that their, English was a lot better than, the rest of Samoa, because, they're in college, they're young people. Another thing is, that because of the fact that they're young and they're in college, that's typically a very receptive demographic, a very receptive age where people are really open to the gospel. And just because of the sheer concentration of people, that there's always, people there. There's people sitting in groups because, it's a college campus. So there's all these like friend groups, and they're sitting at the table eating lunch or just, whatever between classes. And so it's just easy to walk up to, groups of 2, 3, 4, 5 people who are just sitting at a table and just preach to all of them, even sometimes just one-on-one, just one person. And so the first day that we were there, we had a lot of success. I think that I put the number of salvations in the video, but we'll see after, it goes to the next day or whatever. And if not, we'll talk about what our results were for that day. And so after, Soulwinning, we went to this park, like I said. We walked around for a couple hours and we found a place to eat right by the ocean side.
Absolutely. It was a very nice park too. It had their cultural center over there where people were selling traditional crafts and stuff. I bought some stuff from there. Yeah, it was a very nice area.
this is the cultural center that you just mentioned. It was right by the park, and I think for a glimpse when I showed the seaside, that was when we ate at this what was it, like a Filipino restaurant or something, and
It claimed to be.
yeah, but the food was pretty good. I've never
It's
actually
so
had
good.
like real Filipino food before. Obviously, you have because you're living there, but I don't know. I thought it was pretty good. But yeah, then we walked around this place for a little bit, and there were I think there wasn't there like some weird like dance thing that they were doing in that big. You know what those things are called? I forgot what the name of them are. Like the big like houses with or like the roofs, like that.
No, I don't remember.
I don't know what it's called, but it's like one of their traditional buildings that they do whatever rituals or whatever. And I don't know. Anyway, we can continue.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it was a fun place, cool place, lots of people there. So. It's the dance that you're talking about. Yeah, yeah. I had forgotten about that. Okay, cool. So.
Hello. We're in Samoa right now, in capital city, Apia. It's really cool. Just walking around. We went Soulwinning today at the university. Actually, we went to two different universities. The University of South Pacific, the campus in Samoa, and then we went to National University of Samoa, and it was extremely receptive. It was amazing. And so we're just walking around in downtown Apia right now. We just got something to eat, just kind of exploring and seeing what it's like. Raymond, how did today go?
It went awesome. We got 36 salvations at the university. It was great.
Yeah.
We were so young back then, weren't we, Alex?
Yeah, I know. I've grown so much.
Like 10 months ago. And yeah, we just ate some Filipino food, some fake Filipino food, and now we're on the lookout for now we're on the lookout for some sort of sweet treat like ice cream or something. So
yeah, this place is great. What do you think of the Samoa, the country?
Yeah, this is fantastic. It's probably, I mean, it definitely might be the most receptive country I've been to. It's up there. It's really up there. So yeah, this is great, and it's very beautiful here. So
yeah, I would agree. Amazing. So
that was one thing though. We went looking for ice cream, but we never found any. It's a very small place. Even though this is their biggest city, it's like a really small like town. Like there's not a lot going on. There's not like tons of people walking around everywhere. So that can actually be kind of not so good for soul winning, even though we had a great time. But we mainly had a fantastic time on the college campuses. That was the place to be. If anybody is watching our video who decides to go to Samoa to do a mission trip, go to the college campuses. That is where it's at in Samoa. But just not a lot going on. So
if I might add to that, yeah, it was. I think it was because a lot of businesses also closed around that time. Because eventually we did find that one place with the drinks, the like
later on.
What are those drinks called with like the whipped cream in it or something? Do you remember what it's called?
It was a Thai place, and they had a lot of Thai iced teas and whatnot, all kinds of different flavors. It was teas and coffees, and they had the what's it called? It's like it's not quite cream cheese, but it's not also whipped cream either. It's like
that's what they called it though. They called it like putting cream cheese in it or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like that's what it said on the menu. But anyway, that place was really good. We found that later. But the first day, in the downtown Appy area, like everything was closed. So we kind of just walked. I think we went to like a gas station or something. We got like like a water or something at the gas station. But yeah, Appia was, it is pretty small. I think at one point on the day when like on either Saturday or Sunday when I think it was Saturday when the college campus was closed, we kind of walked around almost like the whole city. Like we, walked pretty far just because it's doable, right? Some cities in the U.S., you can't really walk, the whole city in just one day. That's pretty much what we did because we were trying to find people to talk to. We'll get to that also. I'm getting ahead of myself, but yeah, the first day was great. Obviously, I basically in the video I just said, what a lot of the stuff I just said earlier, but yeah, we can continue. So that was the first day, first full day. We were there on Thursday, and then Friday we went back to the college campus. So yeah.
Absolutely.
It's morning in Samoa. This is right outside of the Airbnb that we're staying at, which is right over here. There's this river blocking the road. It's pretty shallow though. I just saw a car drive through it, so you can go through it, but it's kind of cool that this little creek, it's overflowing and then goes down here, and then there's this little waterfall.
So that was really cool. It was such a beautiful area that our Airbnb was in. But here's the bad thing. And there's a huge sign here that says like no car washes or something. But the 2 or 3 mornings that we woke up and we had this little waterfall here, because it wasn't every morning, but every time we did, we would go outside and there would just be like tons of cars just driving through just to get a free car wash. And so it was actually really difficult for me to pull out of our driveway and leave because every few seconds there's just another car zooming by. And so I kind of thought that was funny, but yeah, I don't know. I guess that's their free car wash there. But
Yeah,
it was a beautiful area though. So
another cool thing was like waking up in the morning and hearing that, because it was weird, like, you know, because I wasn't there the first day. It was just weird waking up, you know, at whatever time, like 5 or 6 a.m., and then just hearing like a waterfall right outside. Because like literally the cliff, I think, you know, I showed it in the video. It's just like there's like a little almost like hill sort of thing, not necessarily a cliff, but it kind of like slopes down into this little you know, river ravine kind of thing. And like our Airbnb was right at the top of that. So like the bed I was sleeping at was like right, you know, by where this river was, where this tiny little waterfall was. And so just like waking up and hearing that like crashing sound of the water, I was just like so confused, like what is that, you know? And then I went outside and saw that. It was pretty cool.
yeah, that's cool. Yeah, it was right outside our window.
Right off the side of the road. It's pretty cool. It's very beautiful in Samoa. Just pointing at the National University of Samoa.
Out of the 2 college campuses that we went to, this one was the very, very good one because the other one had just had their exams, I think, and they were out on break. But this one had all their students there. And so we spent almost all of our time here on this campus.
It's raining right now. It's Raymond talking to some guy. It's pretty receptive, but today was a little bit, or yesterday was a little bit better, but today was...
This area, you know, where I just panned to, like right under the tree, we had a lot of success, particularly there. And later, there was like another portion of the campus that we didn't discover until like the last 2 or 3 days, I think. If you remember, I think it was like...
Yeah, I remember.
It was on the other side of the campus, but the first couple days we spent just in this little area, and there's like these big stone tables. It was weird because they were all like made out of like really hard, like they were like, it's almost like concrete or something. But yeah, if you could just go back a little bit, you can see an example right there. But yeah,
right, this is the area that you're talking about.
So there, right now, there's not that many people there because it was raining. You know, that's why I had the umbrella. But you know, at the peak time of day, like around lunchtime or something, there were tons of people. Like all those, you know, concrete tables, and then they're also in that little covered thing in the back. I think people were like waiting for the bus or something in that area. There were also people sitting like on the tree trunks, people just like walking back and forth, you know, from class and things like that. So this one area under this big tree, there were tons of people, and we had a lot of success here starting off in the first few days. But yeah, another thing I just randomly remembered. Remember that Korean guy we talked to?
Oh yeah, I do remember him.
Yeah, there was like this random Korean guy. Well, there was the other guy, but what was that guy's name that you talked to for a little bit that you couldn't figure out if he was saved or not? You remember his name, but
I don't remember him. He was a cool guy though. So
he was like trying to move to China or something like that.
Yeah.
But But yeah, there was like this random Korean guy that was there, and I tried checking his salvation, but he didn't like have very good English. So I pulled out the Microsoft translator, and I basically asked like, "Hey, do you know for sure you're going to heaven?" And then it said it in Korean, and then he like responded, and it turns out I'm pretty sure that the guy was saved. So that was pretty cool. But he was on the campus, I think, because he was also like preaching the gospel, but he was only there for one day, and then he tried like bringing me to like meet his pastor who's like picking up or something, but he didn't speak English, so he didn't want to talk to me or whatever. But that was kind of interesting.
Hold on though, I remember what happened. He went and spoke to his pastor, and then his pastor was like, "Don't talk to that guy." You remember that? His pastor.
Yeah, but I can't remember the reason why though.
Talk to you. He did not want to talk to you at all, because the guy that I was talking to, the Samoan guy, was the Korean guy's friend. They were friends together, and
Okay.
and the guy that I spoke to was a Samoan, and I couldn't figure out if he was saved or not. You were talking to the Korean, and he was saved, but anyway, he went to go talk to his pastor, and his pastor said, "Don't talk to those people," or whatever. I don't know. So that's why we didn't meet his pastor. I don't know. I don't know why, but
yeah, I don't remember the reason. I think he told me why, but because he had broken English, I couldn't really understand what he was saying. But and also, it was a long time ago, so I don't really remember the exact reason. I just remember that happened.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Yeah, and speaking of which, too, these interviews that we're doing, we came up with this idea, I believe, on the Samoa trip, or maybe right afterward. And it's taken us a while to finally do it, but I'm glad that we're finally doing all these videos where we're talking about reaching the world with the gospel and stuff like that. But yeah,
came up with a lot of ideas on this trip. This trip was not only really good for just obviously reaching people. It was really cool, but I don't know. It was revolutionary. It revolutionized Raymond and his efforts in the Philippines. I guess this is where you came up with the idea to go to the Philippines and do all this stuff or whatever, right?
I think I was working on the idea. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
also, didn't you say this place is kind of similar to the Philippines in some respects as well?
In some respects, in some ways, it definitely reminds me of the Philippines. Let's see, the language is very similar. They got lots of similarities, specifically between Samoan and Visaya, which is what my wife speaks. It's got a little bit with Tagalog as well, but more with Visaya, and that's what I'm more familiar with anyway. They have sorry stores everywhere here in Samoa, only they don't call them sorry stores. They call them blessing stores. And these are just little stores that people open up in their homes, and they sell just little, packets of coffee, little snacks, little drinks, whatever. And they call them blessing stores in Samoa, and they're everywhere, just like in the Philippines. The receptivity, I think, is pretty similar with the Philippines. There were a lot of things that reminded me for sure of the Philippines, but a lot of differences too, but a lot of things actually reminded me a lot of the Caribbean, believe it or not. And I know it's, separated by many thousands of miles. Maybe it's just because they're both, very small island places. I'm not sure, but a lot of things reminded me of the Caribbean too.
Yeah, like the grass. Remember the grass?
Yeah.
There's like a particular type of grass that you've only ever seen in the Caribbean or something.
Crabgrass. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they don't have that. I haven't seen that in, the Philippines or anything like that, but it's all over the Caribbean, and yeah, it's all over Samoa. Also, the architecture here is way more similar to Caribbean style than like Filipino style or whatever.
So, yeah, I would say there is a lot of similarities. It has that same kind of feeling to it. Obviously, because it's tropical island, that's, part of it as well. But then, the architecture, like the brightly colored houses and buildings and stuff like that, like the pink and yellow and green houses all over the place. That was another thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So you take 75% Philippines and 25% Caribbean, and you put it together, and you have Samoa.
Yesterday was a little bit better, but today was still really good though, and kind of rained out a lot of people.
It's 1 o'clock.
There's a blessing store right there.
Yeah, you can even see it. Yeah, right there it says blessing.
They're all sponsored by like Digicel or Vodafone or whatever.
Yeah, they are. And they're all called Blessing Store. This one has a name right beside it. It's like, someone's name, Blessing Store. But anyway, yeah, they're all called Blessing Stores. But yeah, in the Philippines, they're called sorry stores.
All right, Raymond, how was today?
It was great. We got 31 salvations today. And yeah, it was really great. We got to check out the downtown area, and we got a few people saved there too.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yep.
Very rainy today, but
Oh yeah, if you want to pause, just talk about that a little bit.
Absolutely.
We did start off, the first couple days at the university, but there was one time where we decided to go to the downtown area for a very short amount of time. I think we were probably only there for about an hour and a half. I don't really remember too much about it, except it was really hot at that point. I think also it just felt hot because of the humidity, because it just rained. But there were only a few. It was in the same area that we'd been to the last night, like before that, I believe, like the cultural center. And there were a few people just hanging around. I think we got a couple salvations there. I don't really remember exactly how well it went, but there weren't as many people, and the people who were there, not as many of them spoke English. So we ended up going back to the university, but obviously we wanted to try out some other places to see what it was like in other parts of the city as well. And so we just spent like an hour there or so.
And I think this was the first day that we started to realize the one major downside of Samoa, and that is that a lot of people there do not speak good enough English to understand the gospel and get saved and whatnot. Mainly, of course, everyone at the college did, but outside the college, though, it was way less. And so that was one negative thing. Probably the only negative thing about Samoa. Samoa was awesome. But yeah, if anybody decides to go on a mission trip there, stick to the college campuses. Those are definitely the best. But we still had success. We still got some people saved there. And I think I just heard me say that we got 31 people saved this day. So that was amazing. So yeah, really great. So, all right. And oh yeah, right after this video was taken right here, maybe 2 or 3 minutes later, we went across the road and we finally did find an ice cream shop. And so we had some ice cream over there overlooking the water. And you don't remember that? And it was run by an old Australian guy. So.
Oh yeah, no, I do. Yeah, it was. I think it was like right in this area, because we walked a little bit to like this beach, and then we walked back, and then it was like right by the car.
Yep.
But yeah, I do remember that now.
And I got pineapple ice cream, and it was really, really good. So I remember that.
Have an umbrella, so it wasn't that bad. And yeah, it was pretty good today. We talked to quite a few people, and so we learned a lot of things about the hang-ups that people have here. We've kind of been adjusting our gospel presentation a little bit just because there are some hang-ups that people have. But so yeah, hopefully with that we can be able to get some more people saved in the next few days. So yeah, this is day 2, and yeah, it's been great. So we're just kind of walking in the downtown part. But yesterday.
So if I can add to what I was saying here about the hang-ups, because I didn't really talk about what they are, and I think probably the biggest thing that I remember was that, and obviously this has to do with somewhat of the language barrier as well, because even though the people at the university, they spoke English, there was still some concepts that they weren't as familiar with. Like one thing that I found, and I think you said the same thing as well, was that there wasn't as much of a concept of what the word everlasting means, and you kind of had to like break down everlasting life in a lot more detail. So talking about eternal security usually took a lot longer, because you had to kind of use synonyms for forever and all, like I would say like always, never ending, it keeps going on and on and on. And I started using some more examples, like usually in my gospel presentation I don't do this, but I started doing this when I was in Samoa, where I quote John chapter 6 verse 35, I think it's 35 or 36, where Jesus said, "I am the bread of life. He that cometh to me shall never hunger, and he that believes on me shall never thirst." And I would give the example of, if I gave you water and I said, if you drink this, you'll never be thirsty again, how many times do you have to drink it? And, if they're understanding, they would say, you just have to drink it one time, right? Because you're never going to be thirsty again. But the reason why I started doing that is because usually I give the example of a gift, where I say, well, if I give this to you forever, how many times do you have to take it? And they wouldn't understand what I'm saying. Right. And so I think part of it's also just not understanding the concept of a gift as much as well. And so there are things like that where I kind of had to adjust my gospel presentation, use different examples and different verses that I don't usually use. But after a couple of days, we started, kind of tailoring our gospel presentation, where we got, obviously it became a lot easier to talk to people and break things down. So that's kind of what I was referencing in this video.
Yeah, I agree. And I noticed that they didn't understand the gift analogy very much, like what you said. Also, even I really like to lean heavily into the promise analogy, how God makes us a promise and of eternal life, and He can never break that promise for any reason. That's one of my favorite illustrations to give out Soul Winning, and people were even struggling with that one as well. The main one that I had a lot of success with here was just talking about the father-son relationship, how God loves us, we're His child whenever we believe, and so we are always going to be God's child. And that was the number one thing that really worked for Samoans while we were there. And then also too, what they really didn't understand too well too, or they were getting really confused about this, is the idea of God chastening His children when we do wrong. For some reason, after talking about eternal security, I typically talk about that as well. There, I kind of didn't talk about it as much because I noticed that people were just getting confused. So I don't know. Every country that you go to is a little bit different, and people are a little bit different. I've noticed this on most mission trips that we've gone on, where I've had to adjust my gospel presentation a little bit. So, all right, let's keep going.
Yesterday, kind of by the harbor, these boats looks pretty cool. So yeah. Drinking some coconut water, fresh from a coconut.
Okay, so this was kind of funny because for this whole trip, I was in I don't know, a tropical mood or whatever. And there's this really good song that I like by Harry Belafonte called "Coconut Woman," and it's a very tropical themed song or whatever. And so I kept singing it. I was like, um, "Coconut, coconut." Anyway, it was just funny. And then literally, like I'm singing that like 3 times, like all throughout the day. And you keep making fun of me for it. And literally, we're walking down the street, and some lady's like, "Coconut, coconut," and so we went. So then the song came true, and so we bought some coconuts from her. We probably wouldn't have bought as many coconuts if it wasn't for that song. And so, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, I remember after we got this, and I got the coconut and everything. The next day is when I said, "Wait a second, we just saw the coconut woman yesterday." Like, we didn't even realize it at the time when it happened. Like,
Yeah,
I just wanted some coconut water because this was actually the first time I ever drank straight from a coconut before. So they call it in Samoa, they call it niu, right? Isn't that what they call it,
Yeah.
niu or something like that?
Yeah.
And so basically it's just when they give you a fresh coconut and they put a straw in it, you just drink out of it. So that was the first time I ever had it. It was really good. It was super refreshing. And so this was like in this big market that was in the downtown area. And this place was huge. They had a lot of fresh produce and all that. And obviously, a lot of these vegetables and fruits are like, super, tropical, weird stuff that you'd never even see in America. There was wasn't there somebody giving out like sea grape samples or something like that?
Yeah, we had some sea grapes. Yeah,
that was the first time I ever had that. So that was interesting. So they had a lot of really, really cool stuff there, and yeah, we walked around the market a few times on our trip there. But yeah, the coconut was great.
Yeah, sea grapes is a type of seaweed that looks like little grapes on a vine, and it's very popular in the Philippines. They eat it with vinegar a lot and whatnot. And I've had it many times. I like it a lot. And this lady at the market gave us a free sample. And so, Alex, what did you think of the sea grapes?
Honestly, I don't really remember it that much. I thought it was. I mean, I thought it was good, but it was just like a little tiny bit, so there wasn't really much to judge, but based on that, and obviously it was a long time ago too. So, but I would definitely have it again. I think it was worth it. It was worth a try.
Sounds good.
It's got one too. It's pretty good. I've never had straight out of the coconut before, but I really like it. No.
Oh.
There were some people that had it, but yeah, I didn't have it at that time. But this
one's a really good coconut. Yeah.
All right, so this was our recreation day. So what we did here was we went to Robert Louis Stevenson's old house that's been turned into a museum. So he was a writer. He wrote like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. He wrote Treasure Island. He wrote all these books a long time ago. And he lived and died. Well, he lived for a large portion of his life, and then he died in Samoa. And so we got to visit his old house there in Samoa. And then this was right outside his back door, basically, was this nice little swimming area with a big waterfall and whatnot. And so apparently, you know, that famous writer or whatever, he used to love to swim in here. So we went down here and we checked it out. Yeah, it was nice.
Yeah, this was like right on the base of this huge mountain. It's called like
Yeah, I remember it was. Yeah, it was right on the mountain.
or something like that. So yeah, it was like this huge mountain. Is really cool, and there's like a hike to go up there, but obviously, you know, we're not in the best shape, and we didn't have that much time, so we decided against that. But anyway, yeah, the area on the base of the mountain, right next to the museum, was really cool. So anyway.
Oh, and I want to mention this too, because you know, I know that the cool, you know, mansion museum was cool and the waterfall's so cool and whatnot. But honestly, though, the breakfast this day was really nice. We just got a takeout breakfast, and it ended up being probably my favorite breakfast I had the whole trip. I got a tuna fish pie, and I know that sounds strange, but it was good, and it was really.
Does it beat the chicken and waffles though at that one place?
Yeah, that was really good too. I don't know.
What was that restaurant?
Good food.
We got to recommend this for the people who are watching who want to go to Samoa in the future. I want to look it up real quick.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nourish Cafe, that's what it was called.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That place was good. They had like good coffee. They had everything on the menu was good. I think you got like some teriyaki chicken sort of thing that looked really good. And then the chicken and waffles was like amazing. It was like the best chicken waffles I've ever had in my life. But anyway.
I don't think we had a bad meal while we were in Samoa. Like, they have really good meals. But yeah, that food at Nourish Cafe was really good. I was just really impressed with the fish pie that I had on this morning, because it was just a quick and easy breakfast. It was kind of like a Hot Pocket, but it had fish in it. But it was also kind of like a chicken pot pie too. But it was small, and it was really good. I liked it. We didn't end up swimming.
What's that?
We didn't end up swimming this day. We just took a look at the waterfall.
Oh yeah.
Say something about this place.
Yeah, we're at the Robert Louis Stevenson Waterfall and Swimming Pool, and the museum for him is right over here. And yeah, it's a really nice spot. And yeah, there's a little walking trail. This is the botanical garden area over here. And so this is a really nice area for the museum and botanical garden and waterfalls. It's really nice.
Yeah.
So here's the museum.
Raymond, what are we about to go see?
Oh, and a nice little car. And then check this place out. This was awesome. These are the Papapatai waterfalls. This is one of the highest waterfalls in Samoa, and we have not seen it yet, but we parked here and we can hear it. And it's just right over here, and we're about to check it out. So let's go check out what it's like.
Oh, there's the name of it. I think you left out a pa. It's like Papapaitai or something. It's a very long name. Papapaitai. Papapaitai or something like that. It's a random dog right here. Seems pretty chill. Parrot. Yo, this looks cool right here.
Here comes the reveal.
Oh, look at that.
Yo! Dude! That's cool!
It's amazing.
It's funny when you get excited, Alex, because you're usually so monotone, but whenever you get excited, it's really funny. It's cool. That was an awesome waterfall right there, though.
Yeah.
I wish we could go swimming in it, but it's not allowed. So.
Well, I don't even think there's a way to reach it. Was there? Like, or except unless you probably like go down some like long dirt back road or something. But there's like, I mean, obviously, you know, this the giant cliff right there, and so it's like way far out there. I don't think it was easy to access.
No, for sure. When.
Wow.
That's really epic.
There's a house over there.
Yeah. Right at the top of the waterfall. And it was so loud. Even though we're so far away from it, it was very loud.
Papapaitai Falls.
When did we go to that beach?
That was like right afterwards when we went to, because basically the Papapaitai Falls was like kind of the middle of the island.
Yeah,
so Appia was like at the top of the island, and we went like halfway down. We went to the waterfall. We just stopped there. It was like on the main road, like right off the side of the road. And we went down to like the bottom of the island, and there was like this small little village. We kind of just stopped there for like, you know, I don't know, like a few minutes or something.
Yeah, I do remember that. It was like 2 or 3 minutes because this was a beach that you had to pay for, and we weren't going to do that today. We went on a nature hike instead. I do remember that. Yeah. We stopped here for like just a couple minutes. I remember that. And here's the nature hike that we did. So this is the edge of a huge cliff, and it took us maybe like, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes to hike through the jungle to get here. And so that was a really cool hike. I really enjoyed that one. Yeah, look at that, right on the cliff.
Wow, there's quite a bit of
Oh, there's some stuff over there too.
Very beautiful. Oh, and then this is the restaurant that we ate at the end of the day. And I was just thinking about this place just a few days ago. This was a nice restaurant too. Very cool, you know, atmosphere. Very nice. Yeah. I really like this restaurant. This was a good one.
Yeah. So before we move on,
unfortunately, I don't remember all the names of everywhere, but
yeah, I don't either. I don't remember. Like, I remember being here, but I don't remember the name of it. But this was another like time skip, because basically after the recreation, after we did that little hike or whatever, we drove back up to Appia, but then we went Soulwinning for a little bit, because we left pretty early for the recreation, I think, and so we were done by about like noon or 1 o'clock. Yeah. So we spent the afternoon Soulwinning. So this was about like 4 or 5 p.m. We went Soulwinning for a few hours, but this was a Saturday, so the university was closed, and so we didn't go at the university. We actually just went like in the downtown area. So first we went to that market, so the big like produce, like, you know, farm market or whatever, where they had the coconut and everything. That's where we started out first, but there weren't that many, again, not that many people that spoke English there. You know, there was like a couple young people that we preached to for a little bit, but didn't really get that far. And then we walked from there to, instead of just, you know, driving, we just kind of walked around in the downtown area to try to find people on the way. We found a couple people, I think. I remember there was like this one girl that was like sitting. You remember she spoke really good English. I think she probably had gone and lived in like New Zealand or Australia for a little bit, because she had that accent and her English was perfect. But there was like this sort of like mall area, or not like a mall area, but it's like a kind of like a strip mall sort of thing, where there's like a few businesses.
I remember that. Yes.
Yeah, and then that's when it started like raining really hard. I remember I saw her. She was just by herself. You know, I preached her. She ended up getting saved, but it like started pouring down rain, and then we just kind of like tried to find some cover. And then also because of the rain, everybody just like disappeared too. And then it was really weird, because it not only was it's Saturday, like Saturday afternoon, which actually, now that I remember, instead of closing things on Sunday in Samoa, they actually close it like early. They close it on Saturday afternoon to get ready for Sunday, because this was about like 2:30, 3 o'clock on Saturday afternoon. because of the rain and because it was like late Saturday, there was like almost nobody. It was completely dead. It was weird. It was like a ghost town. There was like almost nobody around. There's just like a couple homeless people. That was like pretty much the only people that were out there. And there weren't even any cars on the road or anything. All the businesses were already closed. And so we kind of struggled to find some more people for the rest of the day. But I think at the end of the day, we did actually find this. Do you remember that store we went to in that other city called Vitele? It was like right next to Appia, this city.
I remember Vitele. I don't remember the store though.
It was like this kind of like a supermarket sort of thing.
Oh, was that on this day? I remember that.
Yeah, I think we went there twice. I think we went there on Saturday, and then we went back there on Sunday. We stayed there for longer.
Yeah, I remember.
We'll talk about that in a second when we get to Sunday. But basically, we just shopped. I think we just looked around a little bit at the store, and then after that, we just talked to a couple people like right outside. But this was like at nighttime, so this was at the very end of the day. I don't think I talked about it in this video, but I think we ended up with 3 or 4 salvations for the day, if I'm not mistaken.
I thought that was Sunday that we only had 3 or 4. Or maybe Sunday was like 2 or something.
No, Sunday was more. Sunday, okay, so I think this day was actually like 2 or 3, because I think Sunday was like 4 or 5. I think Sunday was a little bit more, because because especially like Sunday door to door, we didn't really get that many. I think we only got like 1 or 2, but then we got a few more when we went to that market area again. But anyway, yeah, let's continue.
Real quick for people who are watching too, I want to stress that though, Samoa is a wonderful place if you pick the right spots. If you've noticed so far on Thursday on the college campus, I think we said that we got 36 salvations. Yep. Friday we got 31 salvations, and then over the weekend we didn't go to the college and it dropped down to like less than 5 salvations for both days or whatever. So a huge difference whenever you leave the college campus or whatever. So Samoa is awesome. It's wonderful. But yeah, just keep that in mind. Again, I want to make this video to encourage people to go to Samoa, because Samoa is a wonderful place. It really deserves more missions and whatnot. So.
Okay, well, we'll just stop here because I didn't get any footage for Sunday. So.
Dang, dude. No, I'm just joking.
Well, the reason why is because number one, we went to church on Sunday morning. Which
let's talk about that.
I'll let you talk about that. Give a description of the church and everything.
Awesome. Yeah, church was amazing there. It was a fantastic church. We weren't sure what to expect whenever by going there. Everything that we saw online, they were all speaking Samoan, no English at all. But I was just like, well, this is the only Baptist church that we can find any information about online on this island. So might as well go. And so we went. And it turned out to be great. We met Pastor Malaki and Pastor
Lau.
What was it?
Lau.
I remember his name means tree in Samoan. So anyway, yeah, we met them too, and they were 2 pastors. They were best friends. And one pastor did most of the preaching, I think, and then the other one worked on more other stuff. I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, it was a really nice church. On Sunday morning, they had maybe 30 to 50 people, somewhere in that range. And he was excited to see us. He told us repeatedly that he wished that he knew that we were coming and he was going to let us preach there. But I'm glad that we didn't, because I wanted to hear what he had to say. And he actually preached a wonderful message. He talked about the parable that Jesus talked about with the wedding feast, and how the man was found that didn't have his wedding clothes on, and so he was cast out into outer darkness. And he likened that unto salvation, how God chooses what we wear for salvation or whatever. We can't choose our own salvation. We got to wear what God says. And so that guy, he came to the wedding without wedding clothes on, and so he got cast out. And so we got to put on God's salvation, not our own salvation or whatever. And I thought it was a really great message. And so what he did was he preached the broad points in English, and then he went into great detail in Samoan. And so we got to catch, a lot of what he was saying. And I was very thankful that he did that. Later on in the week, I think it was Tuesday or Wednesday.
Yeah, Tuesday.
they invited us out for dinner, and they bought us a very nice meal at a Chinese restaurant. It was really nice of them. I was very thankful. They were a huge encouragement, and yeah, I really loved that church there in Vitelli. So it was a really great church. What was the name of the church?
It was Lighthouse Baptist Church, I'm pretty sure.
And if you type in Baptist Church while looking at Samoa on Google Maps, it's literally like the only option that shows up in Apia or anywhere close to the capital or whatever. I believe.
Yeah, there's one other church that's on like the other island, and it's not even just on the other island, it's on like the whole other side of the other island. And the thing is, like, you click on it and there's like no information, there's like no website, no social media, there's like no reviews or anything, there's no pictures even. It's just like it's one of those things on Google Maps where it's like marked, but there's like zero information. So it's like, maybe it's not even a real thing, maybe somebody just put that there or whatever, or closed down or something like that. So we weren't going to risk it. And obviously, it's a whole other island. It was harder to get there and everything, versus this one was a lot closer. Yeah, so obviously, the services are mainly in Samoan, but yeah, he did throw in some English for us. And I think we even sang one or two English hymns as well. Like some of the hymns were in Samoan, but then it basically, like, towards the end, we sang like two English hymns as well. And so that was pretty interesting. So yeah, they were really nice. They were really hospitable, and it was a great church. After we went to church, I believe we got some lunch at some hotel or something like that. If you remember, it was like the only thing that was open. Literally everything's closed on Sunday, and so this was another day where everything was dead, like Saturday afternoon, and so everything was closed. The only thing we could find open was like this hotel restaurant area. And then after that, we tried finding a place to go Soulwinning. Actually, no, we did door to door instead, because of the fact that people were staying at home. What was it? Didn't Pastor Malaki, didn't he say something like they call it like sleep day or something like that on Sunday?
Sleep day, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Obviously, people go to church in the morning because, like I said, it's like very, Christian, very religious and everything. But then, like, the rest of the day, people just stay at home and sleep and everything. And so we decided to go door to door. And so first we kind of drove around to a few different neighborhoods. The first area we went to was in the, remember the countries that we were talking about earlier about the different.
We went to the Nigeria neighborhood. That was cool.
It was the Nigeria neighborhood. And that area was probably the best. I remember the first experience we had where we preached. It was this, you remember like that one weird looking, I don't know how to describe it. I'm not really good at describing these sort of things, but it was almost like a building that was on like stilts or something. It's kind of like a outside area sort of thing, but it was like they still had like a bed and something in it, but it wasn't like a traditional house. But there was like this one young woman and then this older lady, I think it was her mom. They were sitting out there, and they invited us inside. They offered to like give us tea or something, and they gave us like a chair to sit on. And so I sat like right, at the entrance of this house, and I preached to them, and I'm pretty sure they both got saved.
Yeah.
And then after that, we knocked a few doors, and I don't think that many people answered the door, especially because it's one of these places where, because of obviously just protecting their house and everything, there's a lot of like gates and fences and stuff around their houses. So there was a lot of things where we couldn't even like knock on the door because as we had to like call and stuff like that, and there were a lot of dogs and things like that as well. This is when we had a lot of problems with dogs on this day. If you want to talk about that one neighborhood you didn't like.
Oh yeah, there were definitely lots of scary dogs. We almost got attacked a couple of times, very close, like right at our feet, close. Like these dogs were really trying to get us. And even at our Airbnb, every single night, or maybe in the morning sometimes, we could hear those dogs fighting outside, and it just sounded vicious. I mean, it sounded like they were ripping into one another. I mean, it was crazy. And I said this in my sermon that I preached, and I stand by it. Samoan dogs are the most vicious dogs I've ever met before. And that's saying a lot, because we've done a lot of soul winning up on, the Indian reservations, like the Navajo and the Hopi and whatnot. But those dogs are nothing compared to Samoan dogs. Like these dogs were crazy. They were, I don't know what, they were all methed out or something. No, I'm just joking.
Well, God protected us, thankfully.
Absolutely,
I mean, we didn't get bit or anything, but yeah, it was they were pretty vicious, and so yeah, the door to door. Obviously, we wanted to check it out because one of the purposes of this trip is not just to obviously we want to get people safe, but it's also scouting out for future potential missions trip because we want to see how it is, right? Because obviously, if you never been there, as far as I know, nobody in our group like new IFB sort of thing, like no modern soul winner has really done soul winning there. Obviously, like we said, there are Baptist churches there, but we don't really know if they do a lot of soul winning, and so it's kind of a new frontier, if you will. It's like a place that hasn't really been hit before. So we're kind of doing like a scouting trip. And so obviously, the universities where we had the best results, we wanted to try other places as well to see what they were like and whether they would be good for soul winning. So that's why we decided, and obviously because of the fact that the university is closed, that kind of helped us to be able to do this on Saturday and Sunday. We went to these different places like the market and the downtown, and then eventually we went door to door. I think at the end of the day is when we had the most success. That's where we went back to that market area or the supermarket that we went to the day before, and we kind of walked around, and there were some people like waiting at bus stops and things like that. There was also like this clinic. You remember the clinic where there was like people outside? I didn't even realize that's what it was at first, and so like I was like preaching this guy, and then like I find out it's like a doctor's office. I'm like, oh, is this guy gonna get me sick or something? But I don't know. I thought it was funny, but I don't think that guy ended up getting saved anyway. But there were some other people in that parking lot that got saved. Eventually, we got to preach to. So that was pretty interesting.
And the reason that we were doing soul winning at the grocery store was just because it was so hard to find people too. Alex said, it's sleep day. Nobody's downtown. Nobody's at the college, and so we went to the grocery store to go soul winning. And yeah, we definitely got a few people saved there. So.
This was in Vitale too. So this wasn't even in Appia. It was weird because even though Vitale is like a smaller city, Appia is like the capital. Vitale is more of like a suburb kind of Appia, but it wasn't like an urbanized kind of thing like Appia was. But a lot more people were outside and just like hanging around and stuff like that in Vitale, and so that's where we had the most success. There were a lot of, and especially it was like towards the end of the day too. So I feel like, people were done with their sleeping and resting and everything. So they were out and just doing their grocery shopping or whatever. And so we got to find a few more people. There was also some Chinese people there too, because they were doing like construction or something. Samoa has a lot of ties with China. Like China does a lot of construction in Samoa. They build all these, I think a lot of like their fancy modern buildings are all built by like Chinese companies. So there's all these like Chinese construction workers there. So that was interesting.
And me and Daniel Ryder, we have such a heart for China, but I can say that me and you, we spoke to a couple Chinese people and they were not interested. I think one guy,
I don't even think they spoke English, so that's part of it too.
Well, he looked at our card and he handed it right back, or he did something, or he threw it on the ground. He did something like that. I remember.
Yeah.
You remember that?
Yeah, something like that. I don't remember exactly what he did, but
I know Chinese people, a lot of them are receptive, a lot of them get saved or whatever, but a lot of them are not receptive either. But anyway, that's a side point. All right, let's get back to our video. We're on to Monday now. This is also the college campus that we were on. This is just a different area of the campus. So this was the day on Monday that we started exploring more of the campus. And I believe this is the day that we found that other area that you were talking about with way more students to talk to. So
yeah, I don't know what would you call that area? I think there was
a courtyard. Yes, it was.
Yeah, it was like this little courtyard place where there was like this big open. It's not in the video, but it's basically like this big open like grassy place with all these tables, and then there's like this covered area has all these like vending machines and stuff like that. Yeah. And then I think there were some classrooms, and I don't know. It was like this like weird. It looked like almost like a castle or something, where there's like these like towers kind of.
It was just fully surrounded by the schoolrooms on four sides, and the schoolrooms were tall, and so this made like a huge courtyard, and this was where all the kids hung out. And so there were a lot of shady areas in there, a lot of places to sit down, and we walked in, and we were just shocked by how many, just probably over 100 students there, and so we spent basically the rest of our trip just being there. So
yeah, it was really loud too, especially in that hallway, like in the covered part. People were just like yelling and all the talking, and everything. We had to like shout in order to preach, and so
I didn't like it at first. I think my first impression of that area was like, this isn't a good area. I can't even hear or whatever. But we ended up making it work, and we went out to the outside area, the grassy area, and that was a lot better. Although out there it was super hot, so you have shade over there, but then it's loud. But then over here it's not as loud, but you don't have shade or whatever. Yeah, I mean, these are just little problems, though. I mean, we got tons of people saved in there. So
yeah, we got a lot of success in that grass area you're talking about, because I think there were a lot of big groups too. I mean, I remember there were several times where I preached to like groups of 5, 6, 7 people, just because they were all just like sitting at the same table or whatever, and they all wanted to hear. Obviously, not all of them always get saved, or even if they did, obviously, it's hard to count or actually make sure that like all of them did, but still, we had a lot of success on these days because of the fact that there were a lot of people in that one area versus when we kind of still went back to the other area that we showed before by the big tree, but we kind of like went back and forth just to like kind of help people recycle or whatever. Because, we'd be in one area and then we talk to everybody, we go to the other area for a little bit, we go back and now there's new people there. And so it's kind of like cycles and everything.
And I think that really helped our strategy as well. We would just stay in the courtyard area until we talked to every single person there, and then move over to where the big tree is, and then talk over there, and then just keep going back and forth all day long. And it was great. I think the last couple of days we did like 8 or 9 hours per day or something crazy like that. We did a lot.
Yeah, it was about 7.5 to 8 hours approximately.
Yeah, so we did a lot, and we were able to just stay all day. We stayed until the last students were leaving. And by the end of the trip, we were basically recognizing almost everyone. We were like, "Oh, I spoke to you the other day," and "Oh, I got you saved the other day." And so yeah, it was like the perfect amount for a week-long deal. So yeah, so right behind these 2 buildings where my head is right now, that's the interior courtyard area. Is just right over there.
All right, we're in the downtown area again. This is the market. I think I got a video of there the other day, but Raymond, how was today?
Yeah, it was great. I broke my personal record of salvations in one day with 12 salvations today, and we got enough salvations today to break 100 people for the trip so far. We have 114 salvations so far. So yeah, it was a great day.
Yeah.
Amen. That's awesome.
I think it was
a great day.
I think it was 30. Let me check. I want to actually get what the total was for this particular day. I have it in my spreadsheet. Let me just click over here real quick. Let's see. So that Monday, we also had 36 people saved on that day as well.
Nice. That's awesome. All right, let's keep going.
We had a lot of people that wanted to hear the gospel, preaching to a lot of big groups and things like that. We went back to the college. So yeah, it was very receptive. It's been continuously receptive at the college. And so we're going to keep going back there. And we've scattered out a few other areas. There might be some other areas that we might go to check out pretty soon. But yeah, we're just going to go to eat now. Bye.
What did we eat that day? Was that the day that we went to that seafood restaurant?
Yeah.
That place was good.
Yeah, that was the best fish and chips I've ever had, which I haven't really had that much, but still, it was really good.
What about Mike's? No, I'm just joking.
Nah, Mike's is not that good. I usually got the burger there, so.
Yeah.
Oh,
this is this day. Oh, cool. So I texted you maybe like a week or 2 ago saying how much I really enjoyed this day. This was a cool day. So what we did for part of the day was we went over here to this huge outdoor stadium area.
It's a really nice place.
There it is. There's the stadium. And anyway, there were a lot of people hanging out and whatnot. And we went soulwinning there, and it was really cool. They had some sort of ball game going on, and they had all kinds of food being sold. Yeah, it was just a fun day. This one was cool.
Yeah, I agree.
Got one person saved here. We're here for about 30 minutes. Now we're going to go back to the college.
Oh, we were only there for 30 minutes. For some reason, I thought it was a little bit longer, but it was still cool. I thought it was.
Yeah, we still spent most of the day at the university, I'm pretty sure. So But I think we started there, and then we went to the that stadium to check it out,
Yeah.
and then we went back. But the thing about the stadium was that it was very noisy, you know, and then also, you know, everybody was like either in the stands watching whatever game they were doing, or they were playing the game. So we just kind of talked to like some of the people that just hang out like outside of the stadium, or just like, I think the one person we got saved, it was like this lady that was selling food, like a food vendor. It was like right outside the stadium doors, and you know, she spoke just enough English to be able to understand it. Like, I spoke slow and you know, made sure to really break everything down and everything. But I remember also there was like, remember those like crazy like weird guys at the very entrance that were
Yeah, I remember that.
weird stuff. I don't even remember what that was about. I think one of them was like a Hebrew Israelite or something like that. I don't know. It was weird.
Yeah. I feel like that. Well, we went on a Tuesday, and between the stadium and the college, I mean, the college was way better. But I feel like if we had discovered the stadium and you know, they had something going on over the weekend, then that could have been a place that we could have stayed all day or whatever. I feel like it could have been a lot better. But I don't know if they. I don't know if they would have had a ball game or something like that going on the weekend. I'm not sure.
Probably not on Sunday, but Saturday probably would have been a day where there was a lot of people.
And that was what this scouting trip was all about, right? Was checking out different areas. Obviously, getting tons of people saved is definitely, you know, what we wanted to accomplish as well. But we also wanted to find the good areas to go soul winning. And we had in mind that we wanted to do something like this video, basically just a brief guide on you know, where to go if you want to do a mission trip here. And so that's why we were checking out all these different areas too.
All right, so we're at
this is the inside of our Airbnb too.
the place that we're staying at, and we just got back from eating dinner with the pastor of a local church, a Baptist church, which is really cool here. It's called Lighthouse Baptist Church, and they're very friendly, and they actually invited us to dinner tonight. So we met them on Sunday. We went to church on Sunday morning, and it was a very good service. The preaching is in Samoan, but they because we were there, they threw in some English stuff in there. They had some English songs, and then during the sermon, the pastor translated some things. So he preached mostly in Samoan, but it sounded like he was preaching pretty hard, even though I couldn't understand half of what he's saying. But he translated and he preached some stuff in English as well. And so it was a great sermon. And we got his information, like his WhatsApp number and everything, and he invited us to dinner tonight. We went to this Chinese restaurant. It was really good, and they were very nice, and they were, you know, they obviously paid for the food and everything, so it was great. And so Pastor Malaki, which is the Samoan version of Malachi, and then I think the other guy, I don't know if he's the deacon or assistant pastor or something, his name was Lau or something like that. So they were pretty cool. And yeah, so today was a great day out soul winning. We had 34 people saved, and there were a lot of great opportunities we had. Like, we went to one of the campuses over here in Samoa called the USP campus, the University of the South Pacific, and we actually talked to people from Fiji who recognized
I almost forgot about this.
From Suva, because we had been there just a couple months ago, and they there was like this group of 4 people, and they were all saved. They all already believed in the gospel. And after seeing the card, the woman said, "Oh yeah, weren't you guys in Suva a little while back?" And so she recognized us. So that was really cool. So we met some people who actually knew about us and our church, even just from a few months, and they were already saved. We met a couple other people on the campus who were already saved from Fiji, and then I met a guy from Vanuatu who was already saved, and a guy from Solomon Islands who was already saved. And then right after that, Brother Raymond right here, he just got a guy from Vanuatu saved as well. And so that was really cool. There were people from all kinds of other countries. And then we went back to the National University of Samoa campus and got some more people saved. So Raymond, what would you say? Do you have any other thing to add to that?
Yeah, so if you want to pause that just for a second.
Absolutely.
So yeah, that's something that I had forgotten that, you know, that took place on this day, that we went back to the USP, because we went there on the very first day. But then the other days we kind of spent most of the time at the National University. We went back to USP this day, and we probably spent about like an hour or so there, maybe even a little bit longer. I don't remember. But yeah, we had a lot better success this day. It was still kind of sparse, you know, with they were still on break, but there were more people there for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And so we got to talk to some more people. Obviously, you know, the highlight was meeting those people from Fiji. And obviously we'll talk about, you know, Fiji itself and what the mission trip was in a future video. But it was just cool meeting people from other countries. And that's something that I always like, you know, when visiting a different country and obviously talking to the locals there, but then even like talking to people from other countries that are visiting there as well. Like we talked about the Korean guy earlier, that was cool. But then just seeing like people who were already saved from Fiji, from Vanuatu, and even the one guy from Solomon Islands, it was just like crazy. Like these random people, you know, are here from all these different like random countries. Like how many people from Solomon Islands have you ever met in your life? Like
Right.
I've only met like 2 or 3, right? And yeah, so it's just really cool. And so that university was a little bit more chill. You know, we spent some time there. We got a few more people saved, and then we went back to the National University.
I think that university has the potential to be every bit as good as the National University. The National University mainly just had Samoans there, whereas the University of the South Pacific had way more diversity with other Pacific islands and stuff. And so, yeah, I got a Vanuatuan saved, and that was so cool that you met people that had met the Soulwinning group in Fiji just a few months earlier or whatever. That still blows my mind. That's really cool. And so, yeah, I'm thankful for that. And
yeah, you'd say it's a small world, but I mean, Fiji's like, I think a couple thousand miles away from Samoa. So
right.
It's that's like going to, and especially, you know, since they're like really small countries, that's like meeting somebody. Oh, well, actually, I was about to say something about the Fiji trip, but that's not relevant right now. But anyway, so we'll talk about that in a future video. What's that?
Stay tuned.
Yeah, stay tuned. Exactly. But it's like if you just meet somebody from like some random small town in Arizona in like, you know, Wyoming or something. It's just like completely random. Like you get somebody saved in like, I don't know, the Navajo reservation, and then like you go to New York City and then they're just like there and you just meet them. That's like how crazy it is. So anyway.
That's pretty cool.
The dinner with the pastor or the church or the Soulwinning.
And I really enjoyed the dinner with the pastors. And we got to talk about all kinds of cool stuff, and they told us all kinds of things about Samoa that we had no idea. Man, I was so exhausted this time. We didn't know about. And so I'm going to talk about some of that stuff in my sermon I'm going to preach at the missions conference, and just talk a little bit more about those types of things. And it was a real pleasure to be able to meet these saved brothers in Christ over here in Samoa. Because we visited their church not knowing anything about it. It was literally the only Baptist church that we could find on Google Maps on this entire island. And so we just decided to show up and just kind of figure it out whenever we got here. But they ended up being a great church, and you know, they're IFB all the way with hard preaching and everything. And he's talking about how he has to split fellowship with these other Baptist churches around here because they're not standing firm on the Word of God and all kinds of stuff like that. One other thing that I'll mention about the church as well is that it was the only church that we could find, or the only Baptist church that we could find on Google Maps for the entire island. But there were other churches, though. He told us that whenever we were there, and I think he talked a lot about it while we were at dinner. There are a lot of churches that he has fellowship with in the area, a lot of other good churches and whatnot, or in the country. But he's the only church that's on Google Maps. He said that somebody from America had come and visited his church and then basically made that Google Maps post for him or whatever. So without that, we would have never been able to find their church. So I thought that was kind of cool. So really phenomenal church and great pastors. And they were just extremely friendly to us and very hospitable. We ate this really good food, this really good Chinese food here, and it was all their treat. They bought it for us, and that was super nice of them. And I'm glad that now we have a good church that we know of here in Samoa, that on future trips we can come and have more fellowship with them and things like that as well. So this was a very unexpected and very pleasant surprise for this trip. So.
Yeah, that was great. So it's been good today. It's been good yesterday at the university, and we're going to go back tomorrow, and tomorrow's our last full day in Samoa. So yeah, it's been great.
Yeah, this is us with the two pastors. The one in the blue shirt is Pastor Malaki. He's the main preacher at the church. And then the other guy is Pastor Lau. And so he's also a pastor at the church. Pastor Maliki spoke way more English with us than Pastor Lau did.
Yeah, didn't he say he's from American Samoa?
Yeah, I think he was either from there or he spent a lot of time there. I can't remember, but yeah.
Yeah, but he mentioned that, and he said he's also, another cool thing is that he's done like missions trips to even like China. I think he mentioned, and
Cool.
I remember he told a cool story about how like he got didn't he like get somebody saved in China, and then she like called him on the phone like 2 years later or something like that.
I remember the story. I remember what happened. What it was he went on a business trip to China, and he was very vocal about being a Christian. He was telling everybody that he's a Christian or whatever, and he said that most people weren't very impressed or whatever. But then 2 full years later, a lady that he met on that business trip just gave him a call out of nowhere, asking about God and the Bible, and she got saved over the phone. So 2 years later, so I thought that was really cool. And so, yeah, like I said earlier, I really like China. So,
yeah, but that's pretty cool, and obviously that's good. That like I don't know much about like whether the church has like actual like soul winning that they do or something, but it's definitely they've done. You know, the pastor has done soul winning, and he's gotten people saved. He's actually like witnessed the gospel and things like that. He told us stories about that.
It seemed to me that they focused more on like personal evangelism, just people, you know, in your area or in your life or whatever. But I don't think that they have like a scheduled soul winning time where they go knocking on doors or whatever. Obviously, Samoa really needs that. And so I definitely want us to do more mission trips in the future to Samoa for sure.
Yeah, we need to start a church. Somebody needs to start a church over there. Because honestly, like it's such a small country. Like I feel like if some, you know, guy from America or wherever, you know, started a church in Samoa, and also because of the fact that it's so receptive, like if he actually like, you know, spoke Samoan or something, like a lot of people would get saved. A lot of people would be reached in that area, like really fast. I mean, like in a few years, like because it's such a small country.
I agree. Oh, love it.
Raymond, what do you think about soul winning at this campus?
Yeah, this is like one of the best places I've ever been to out soul winning before, like almost ever.
And you got a bad sunburn, man.
Hey,
dude, why is your nose so red?
Oh yeah, it is.
I didn't even notice that before. Okay, that was.
I guess all you did for that day.
Yeah, I don't really remember that much about that day. I mean, it was still good. Here, let me check the
same old thing. Just then, whenever you were talking to me, we were under that big tree that we showed earlier, and so yeah, we just did the same thing. You know, same soul winning over there. And what was the total for the entire time that we were in Samoa, not including the Fiji days? We'll talk about that later. But just the time that we were in Samoa, how many salvations did we get?
Well, first, just for that one day, we had 35. So it seems like almost every day we averaged about like 30 to 36, so like low 30s. It was kind of consistent in terms of receptivity, which I always like when places are consistent. Where, like I said, obviously, you know, when we went to other places outside the university, it was a lot. You know, it wasn't as good, but that was mostly because of the English level. I don't think that it would be. I do think it would be extremely receptive if there wasn't that language barrier. So I think that's the only thing, because I think if either they spoke more English or we spoke Samoan when we preached the gospel, I think a lot more people would want to hear the gospel. A lot more people would want to get saved because of the fact that the people who did speak English, almost all of them, a large portion of them wanted to hear the gospel, and they were extremely receptive. So I think if we, like I said, if somebody who spoke Samoan, or if somebody found like another spot in the country that spoke a lot more English, then a lot of people would get saved. It'd be pretty consistent in terms of receptivity. But yeah, so the total for the Samoa missions trip, just the time we spent in Samoa, which was 7 days. So we got there Wednesday night and we left like very, very early Thursday morning. It was 180 salvations for our time in Samoa.
Amen.
So that's awesome. Yeah, for 1 week, that's amazing. That's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was a wonderful trip. I had a great time. There were a lot of things that the video didn't cover, like all the cool restaurants that we went to, all of the cool sites that we saw. Obviously, all the people that we individually, got to preach to and get saved and whatnot. Overall, it was a really amazing trip. And over the past like 10 months or so since we went, 9 months, 10 months, I've thought a lot about that trip, and it is definitely one of my favorite trips. And so I really loved it there. So
it even says on the description when it was uploaded 8 months ago. So
8 months.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
it feels like it was a long time ago though, but
really for me it feels like it was just not even that long ago at all. It was just very close. I don't know. But
so much has changed. But anyway.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing we're probably not going to watch the last part of it because we're just talking about Samoa today. But
we'll do another. I mean, we'll do a video about Fiji in the near future.
Yeah.
But Alex, any last words that you want to give to someone who would love to do a mission trip or just go souling in Fiji or in Samoa? What do you think?
Yeah. So definitely, like I said, be prepared of like what to expect, because as we said, we gave these, obviously, it's a very good receptive place, but obviously, there's that important caveat of you have to go to the right place in Samoa itself. Like I said, I think that the whole country would be receptive, but because of the language barrier, the best place to go that we found were the universities. Now, one thing I'd also say is that because we went there at a time where the USP campus was closed, I think that if you went there at a different time of the year when there were students, that would also be a great place to hit. Now, there's not as many students at the USP campus as the National University, but there's still probably a lot of students. I don't know how many, but probably at least a few hundred or a couple thousand.
I think it was half. We looked it up. I think it might have been like about half of what the National University was.
Yeah, but it's still a lot of people, honestly.
Yeah.
And like Brother Raymond mentioned earlier, it's not just like local Samoans, it's people from other countries as well, because of the fact that it's like a international university, and so there's people from other countries that go back and forth. Like even the other USB campuses, we'll talk about this in other videos, like in other countries, like people from Samoa went there, and so people from their country go there. It's like back and forth all over the place. And so because a lot of these other countries are receptive too, so when somebody from Vanuatu, Solomon Islands, whatever, Fiji comes over to Samoa, they're also receptive in Samoa as well, in addition to the local Samoans. And so I think the USP campus would be great to hit, and National University. And obviously, it's already been, since it's been 8 months, like, the next time, I would recommend going in the summer because they don't have university classes right now. And like I said, outside of the university, not that many people speak English. But if anybody does, want to go in the future, there are going to be new students there. There's going to be plenty of people to talk to. And you can do a lot of things. You can do a lot of great things for God. You can win a lot of people to Jesus Christ by going to Samoa. It's a great place to reach people. So
yeah, amen.
Great country.
Yep, and I loved it. You loved it. Also, too, for anybody who goes in the future, while we were there was a huge complex under construction that was going to be like a big mall area, and I bet that would be really good soul winning in the future. They were scheduled to get it done just a few months after we left. I can't remember exactly. They're probably done with it by now.
Yeah, actually, I want to look that up because I want to make sure. Because I do remember that, but I haven't thought about that since we were there. So,
and whenever I'm editing this video, I'm gonna be including a bunch of like Google Maps images and things, just showing places that we went and things like that.
Don't remember what it was called.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Some big. Trying to find what road it was on too. Oh, is that?
It's 2:00.
I think I found it, but on Google Maps, it obviously this is old satellite imagery, so it's hard to tell. But at least what I could see on Google Maps, it's still under construction, but it might be done right now. But it doesn't have any like pinpoints or whatever, so it doesn't say what it is.
No problem. I'll
Let me
just
just
throw it up on the screen whenever I'm doing the editing and whatnot.
yeah, let me just look it up real quick. Mall Samoa.
While you do that, I'm just going to give my final thoughts as well. And
Yeah.
so, Samoa, wonderful place. It was by far one of the most receptive places that I have ever visited before. It was my first major mission trip to the South Pacific. I had been to Hawaii before, but Hawaii's kind of different in culture and things like that than Samoa is, and Fiji and places like that. And so this was my first time, going to a place like this. I loved it. Like I said earlier, it really reminded me of other places I've been to, kind of a mixture of other places. I would highly recommend for people to check it out. It's kind of expensive to fly there, depending on where you're from. If you're from the U.S., it's kind of expensive. From Australia, I think it's a lot cheaper. But it's worth it though. And yeah, speaking the language helps. I know that at one point Alex here was working on Samoan. I'm not sure if he still is or not. Dang, dude, those Samoans. It's okay. It's okay.
I've been busy, man.
Yeah, of course. But yeah, I mean, Samoa is a wonderful place. We love the church there. I mean, I was highly impressed with the church. I really enjoyed it. I was really thankful that they're there, and I would love to go back. And I do want to go back as much as I can, or I want to return to Samoa someday. Very wonderful place. And so if you're thinking about going, then yeah, please, let me know too. You got our email right here in the description. Let me know what your plans are. And I want to help anybody who is going there to preach the gospel. I want to help those people to reach the Samoans, because they really need the gospel there. And I'm so thankful for people like Pastor Malachi, who's preaching the word of God there and whatnot. But there's so much more that needs to be done there. So much more soul winning, so many more people to reach. And we didn't even touch the other island too. There's another huge island. In fact, the other island is bigger than the one that we went to, at least in land area, not in population. But anyway, there's so many people to reach. And so I really want to reach those people with the gospel, and even American Samoa too. They're very different in their culture, because obviously they're part of America or whatever. I want to go check out American Samoa. I think it'll have a lot of the good points of Samoa, but with a lot more English as well. So
Yeah.
I would definitely want to check it out too. So
Yeah, I think American Samoa would be great. We'd probably have very similar results, is my guess. It's not as many people, so that might also play a factor into. I don't know if they have a university or something, but maybe they do. But just less people would probably also, play a factor into how successful it is. But I think a lot of people will still get saved. Now, I did find the name of the place. It's called Taufusi Plaza, and it looks like it is like open, but kind of open. Like the building is open, but they just have like a hotel right now, and they're still like working on some other things. But it looks like the general area is like all built up and everything, and there's pictures of it online. And it looks like a pretty big building. So usually like malls in foreign countries are good places to go soulwinning. So this might be like a big hangout spot, for Samoans. Obviously, we haven't been there since it's been built, so we don't know, but it's probably, a good place to find like a lot of young people and stuff like that for those who go to Samoa in the future.
absolutely. And it's definitely worth checking out. It sounds like it'll hopefully be open soon and fully. And anyway, God bless you, Alex. Thank you so much for taking the time to do this video with me.
Yeah.
In the near future, we have other country videos and different things to talk about. We're going to talk about St. Lucia in the future, Fiji, lots of upcoming videos. And so, yeah, if you guys who are watching this video, if you like this, then click like and subscribe and share it and all that good stuff. And thank you very much for watching. God bless you and have a great day.